Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. And we sure appreciate you guys coming on with us. And we love to say hello to our faithful followers. And let's see, who comes up number one here this morning? Andrea! You're number one this morning. And Sandy, how are you? And Gloria, good morning. And Madeleine, how you doing? And Lynn, Aurora, and Janice, how you doing? Good to have you on here. Lori from Alberta. And that was Betty Lynn from Brantford. And that was Rose. Wendy from Markham. Nellie. Nick from our staff. And Francine from Thunder Bay. Rhoda, Labrador. Diane, Thunder Bay. Wow. Mike, there he is from Norland. Deb from Timmins. Good morning. Jeanette from our staff. And who is that there from West Virginia? Natalia from Toronto. Linda, New Brunswick. Cecilia, Shediac, Nouveau-Brunswick. Karen, Maria, Ottawa. Rosalinda, there you are. Brandon, and Anne, good morning from Moncton, British Columbia. Carol, we're way out east in Newfoundland. Nicole from Sudbury. Deb from Motown. Joanne, good morning. That went up into the clouds. I couldn't see it. Laurie, Cambridge. Carol, Moncton, New Brunswick. Sandra, Aurelia, good morning. And Diane, how are you? Nativity, good morning. And Bonnie, how are you? Laurie, Niagara Falls. Cheryl, West Virginia. And Rosa, Montreal, bonjour. Gary, how is you, my friend? Anna, Gatineau, Quebec. Bonjour, Suzanne, Edmonton. Was that Gertie? Hi, Gertie, from Burlington. Lise from Kitchener. Karen, Little Britain. And is that Sandra? Louise? Caroline? And Luella, there she is, West Tennessee. I'm sorry I missed you earlier. Maryland, PEI. Cheryl, Sue, good morning. And you see, up in the clouds. Stouffville, I think that's Milika. And Helga, I think. Lorraine. Clouds, clouds, clouds. It's cloudy, I guess. John, how are you? Kevin, I missed him twice from Oshawa. You know me, Kevin. I don't mean to. Marianne, how are you? And there's Brahim. What in the world, Brahim, happened to you this morning? Sandy, how are you? Bonnie, I'd like to know. Cecilia from Manitoulin Island. Beautiful. Jeanette, how are you? Good morning to you. Rosemary, Moncton, New Brunswick. Two more. Lynn and Jackie. Stop the clouds. I know. Jeanette, hi. Okay, now, new study out on heart disease, and this is really, 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 really important, okay? Nothing I'm going to tell you is really new to our audience, but this is groundbreaking, okay? And it's called Looking for Love in All the Wrong Places. Now listen to this study, okay? You and I talk about metabolic syndrome all the time, okay? Now metabolic syndrome is characterized, okay? Is characterized by elevated blood glucose, still normal blood glucose, but it's elevated. Okay? And you and I talk about this because I actually give you a number. And it's the A1C number. I like A1C because it tells me a lot. Okay? So anything above 5.4 on the A1C is metabolic syndrome. Okay? Now listen to the others. Okay? High blood pressure. Okay? High blood pressure. We talked about the glucose, and I like measuring A1C. High triglycerides. Low HDL. Okay? The only number in cholesterol for metabolic syndrome is HDL. Two lipids. One is triglycerides. The other one is HDL cholesterol for metabolic syndrome. If that is low and triglycerides are high, that's metabolic syndrome. But listen to this, okay? I'm not there yet. Increased waist circumference. So men, if you're over 40 inches, measure around the belly button. And ladies, 35 inches, measuring around the belly button. Okay? And I add uric acid. Nobody else does, but I do. Okay? As part of metabolic syndrome. Now, listen to this new study, hot off the presses, and looking at a multitude of studies. Okay, here's their conclusion. Just one of these markers of metabolic syndrome increases your risk of heart disease by 73%. Having three of them, okay, having three of them, 3 out of 5, your risk of type 2 diabetes is 8-fold, 8 times the average. Okay? So, let's break this down a little bit. If you only have one marker of metabolic syndrome, 93% of the population have at least one marker of metabolic syndrome. Elevated blood glucose, but still normal, not diabetic, still normal, but it's high normal. And again, the best measurement of that is the A1C, okay? Glycated hemoglobin. I love that test. And I loved that test years ago because I was preaching way back when that when your A1C was elevated, you had metabolic syndrome, even though it wasn't elevated to the level of diabetes. And guys, this is significant. What they're showing is what you and I have been talking about for a long time. It ain't cholesterol. Cholesterol is a very poor indicator of heart disease. Now, have you heard that before? Top of the study. Cholesterol is a very poor indicator of heart disease. As a matter of fact, the only thing they mention about cholesterol is if you have low HDL, the so-called good cholesterol. Well, in my opinion, there's no such thing as bad cholesterol. Okay? And I've been consistent about that. And for years and years and years, I looked at blood work, and people used to ask me, either in my office or on the phone or whatever, and, oh, doc, what about my cholesterol? I said, well, what about it? You can't make me care. I don't have the cholesterol derangement syndrome. I just don't. And you can't make me care. I care about you, but I don't care about cholesterol. Well, I do, but I want it to be high, not low. Okay? But think of this, okay? So, okay, let me break this down. The biggest risk factor for heart disease, which is still the number one killer in our society. We haven't won the war even close on heart disease. Well, it's getting worse. It's not getting better. If it was cholesterol, we would have fixed the problem already. But it's not cholesterol. The biggest risk factor, and now proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, the biggest risk factor is metabolic syndrome. And you only need one of these biomarkers in your blood work to go south. Only need one. If one of them is out of whack, you're in trouble for heart disease. Okay? And where you sit on the metabolic train, is the most important thing when it comes to preventing heart disease. Okay? Now let me make a statement here. Am I interested in your blood sugar? Yes, I am. Okay? I am. Well, what's blood sugar got to do with heart disease? Well, let me just say a couple of things. One, when blood sugar rises, okay? When blood sugar rises, your body is dedicated to taking sugar out of your bloodstream. You know that, I know that. The world doesn't know that. They should, but they don't. Because again, their vision is clouded by cholesterol. Guys, it all has to do with sugar and crappy carbs that turn to sugar. Sugar in the bloodstream, your body is dedicated to keeping it low. And we just put out an email. If you just have a half a teaspoon in 5 liters of blood, if it's a half a teaspoon is the difference between a normal person and a diabetic. You see, guys, diabetes is the last thing to happen in the body. That's when your insulin's not working anymore. You see, insulin is dedicated. It will not allow sugar in the bloodstream. It can't park there. It's a no parking zone. And your body is so smart. It knows that when sugar is allowed to stay in the bloodstream, it will destroy your blood vessels. And the research is now conclusive. People are looking at cholesterol. The world took the whole enchilada. It took it all on cholesterol. And they missed it. They missed insulin and insulin resistance. So the way to fix is to be insulin sensitive, to let insulin do its job. And if you don't use insulin all the time, if you eat the right foods, you can't get metabolic syndrome. You just can't. And you can actually fix it. It's food. It's food. So 93% of the population is walking around with at least one of these biomarkers. And it's telling them everything, but they don't know it. They don't know it. This is why, guys, it's so important that you and I preach this. I want to equip you, one, to help yourself, and then to help others. Somebody said to me last night, Dr. Martin, I hope you practice what you preach. Well, I certainly try. I understand it. I have no excuse. I have no excuse not to take care of myself. And these biomarkers are so significant. And that's what they're saying. Imagine the number one killer in our society. Chronic disease is heart disease, followed closely by cancer. And every fall we get into, let's raise money for cancer. Let's raise money for cancer research. Let's raise money, wear pink, do this, do that. And they never, ever, ever, ever talk about food. Because everything that I just mentioned, even high blood pressure. You know how many millions and millions of people are on medication for high blood pressure? And no one's ever told them, have you ever thought about changing your diet and getting rid of metabolic syndrome? Has anybody ever told you to get off the Titanic? No? Yeah. Sad. And then you get these enormous studies that come out, and they evaluated cardiovascular risk over 20-year period, looking at a conglomerate of studies. And these are the conclusions. Insulin resistance. When your cells at the cellular level go, insulin, would you get lost? I can't stand you. You're coming around all the time. You're driving me crazy. You're a bad neighbor. I hate you. Get lost. And insulin goes, I know, but as long as you insist on eating the wrong foods, I gotta come knocking at your door because I can't allow that sugar to stay in your bloodstream. I've got to take it and I got to put it in a parking zone. Muscles, liver, and fat cells. In blood, no parking zone. Can't stay there. So you eat a piece of bread. Oh, Dr. Martin, it's 20 grain. It's whole wheat 20 grain. I don't care. That bread is going to turn to sugar instantly. And then insulin comes knocking at the door at this. Hello? Open up. I got to get rid of the sugar in your bloodstream. Dr. Martin, oatmeal. I gotta have my oatmeal in the morning. Otherwise, I may not go to the bathroom. Well, you just sent your sugar skyrocketing. Your sugar went skyrocketing. And insulin has to come knocking at the door and saying, you can't park there. You can't park there. And diabetes is when insulin don't come around anymore. It can't. You wore it out. That's type 2 diabetes, guys. It's like my dad used to say, sugar diabetes. In the 1960s, he said, son, I have sugar diabetes. And my dad was the first guy on the planet, as far as I know, in 1968. No more sugar, son, for me. What? Okay, in 1962, my daddy stopped smoking. I was shocked. I was 10 years old. But in 1968, my dad stopped eating sugar. No more sugar. Because he got diabetes. And I looked at him like, Dad, what are you doing? Okay? He was the first guy in the world, I say that without knowing, as far as I was concerned, that drink diet pop. Oh, my word. You ever taste those early diet sodas? And oh, my word. My dad, Fresca or whatever it was called, Tab. That's what it was. He liked Tab. I said, how can Dad? That tastes like urine. Son, I have sugar diabetes. 1968. And here's me. A couple of years later, I'm off to school and I take, well, over the years, well over 2,000 hours of nutrition. And they, you know, in nutrition, even today, you know what it is? Like mostly, still teaching this, moderation. And they got plants and grains at the base of the food pyramid, even today in 2024. And my dad turned that upside down when I was in high school. He turned it upside down. He said, that's not true, son. What's true is my dad ate steak. And I mean it, guys. I'm not exaggerating. My dad ate steak 6 nights a week. And roast beef on Sundays. For him, my mother made separate meals. Because my dad, he understood nutrition. He said, I'm a sugar diabetic. I don't eat, like, he loved pasta, but my dad wouldn't have much of it. He ate steak. There's no one that ate steak more than my father. No one. I said, Dad, aren't you? I never get tired of steak either, but even in high school, my father would come home late from the office, and I loved to sit beside my dad. I had already eaten, but I was always hungry. And he'd always give me a piece of his steak. No, but guys, I'm telling you, this is craziness. But it's so earth-shattering. If we would just get back to metabolic syndrome and heart disease, it's linked to heart disease. One of these biomarkers will put you almost at 75% risk of heart disease. It's 73%. Having high triglycerides. Have you heard that before? Okay. Have you heard that before? Anything over 150. I even like it lower than that. Okay. But, you know, the other day somebody, I saw it, because they put it up on, I put it up on our Facebook page. They actually put their blood work there. But I didn't see the HDL. I need to see triglycerides and HDL. When you get your blood work done, check your triglycerides and your HDL. I know there's total cholesterol there. There's LDL cholesterol there. There's all sorts of total cholesterol, non HDL cholesterol and all. It's just there to confuse you guys. You only need two numbers from your lipids. What are my triglycerides and what is my HDL? Okay? Pick up my book, Sun, Steak, and Steel. I actually tell you how to read your blood work. But if you look, and this is what the study says, if you look at your lipids, and then you look at your A1C, guys, okay, you can do blood sugar. You can take your blood sugar just with a meter. But I like an average. To me, it's indicative of what insulin is doing. And all over the years, I've been looking at this A1C, A1C, A1C. I like it. You can get by the way, you could get fasting insulin done. Doctors they're reticent to do insulin testing. Well, you're not a diabetic, so what are you worried about? Yeah, but diabetes, doc, is the last thing that happens. If you have high blood pressure without medication, you're in trouble. And when I look at blood pressure, and by the way, just give you a little, when your second number is over 90 and up. Now, even for metabolic syndrome, it's even lower than that. They go about 120 over 125 over 85. But I don't really panic unless someone's second number is over 90. Then so you got high blood pressure. But that's a big indicator. Because sugar's in the bloodstream, guys. And sugar, even if it's slightly elevated in the blood sugar, is going to affect your kidneys, blood vessels. Kidneys is all about blood supply. So that's why food, guys, like I come back to food all the time. And what you got to do. Okay? And remember, let me just go over it again. Okay? Just one of these markers increases your risk of heart disease by 73%. Heart disease is not genetic, guys. I know there's some genetics involved. I know that. But it's not a genetic disease. They used to say it, your dad had a heart attack. No, it's metabolic, guys. And now the proof is out. They looked at studies for 20 years and they come to the same conclusion. One elevated biomarker, one, and you're in trouble. A1C, HDL, having low HDL. The opposite of what they teach us. Having low HDL. High blood pressure. Waist. Measure it. Slightly even elevated blood glucose. Again, best measurement, get your doctor to do an A1C. You don't ask, a lot of times you don't get. You got to ask. You got to be your own lawyer in a way. Telling them, hey, I want this done. And guys, I didn't even talk to you about another biomarker. I didn't even talk to you. It should be there. It really should be part of it. Of metabolic syndrome. You know what it is? Vitamin D. And tomorrow, because there was a new study on vitamin D that I want to go over with you tomorrow. But I would put vitamin D there. In a metabolic syndrome. They don't, but I would. Okay. Unreal, isn't it? Imagine if everyone just said, okay, I am going to change my diet. I am going to cut down my carbs. I'm not going to be a carbaholic anymore. You would get right off the Titanic. It's amazing what happens. Your body will respond. Your liver will empty itself. You'll have more parking spot for sugar, for glucose. It's all about parking, guys. It's all about parking. And sugar in a no parking zone is absolutely dangerous. Not only for, people think, oh, diabetes. No, way before that, cardiovascular disease and cancer. Blood sugar left in the blood is extremely dangerous. It's in a no parking zone. You guys know this. The world doesn't know it. They should. They should, but they don't. Okay. Friday's question and answer Friday, so don't forget. Okay? Don't forget the questions. Send them in. If you're not sure we're getting them, info@martinclinic.com. Info@martinclinic.com. Guys, share this. Share this with your friend. Like I learned a lot of people, they just have no clue about metabolic syndrome. They never understood it. Nobody ever explained it to them, and they don't know the significance of it. Guys, share this. Okay? Love you guys, and we'll talk to you soon.